I do want to say straight off the gate that I am very sorry I haven't been uploading a lot of Magic the Gathering content. The main reason was I just didn't really like the last set. I had a lot of high hopes for the next set that was going to come out. Like after, what was it, Dominary United or something? It was like, I really liked that. Like we had water decks were really powerful, we had black decks were really powerful, and then I mean new plane support. And I just played those three decks mainly. And Brothers War was coming out and I was like, oh, I wonder what they're gonna do. Like, you know, more black support, more all of this. In terms of Yu-Gi-Oh, this set felt like a filler set. Now, I might be completely wrong. I know there's lore behind this set, like goes with the story and stuff like that. Honestly, when I opened up some of the packs, and let me open up some of the packs and talk to you guys, like while I talk about it, so I can like give you examples. There's some cards that just didn't feel like they should have been there. Example, Swift Foot Boots. This card looks old, and because it looks old, it's not allowed to be played in standard rank sets. And it made me feel like this was like a set where they do reprints. I think that's what it's called in Magic, which I'm not too familiar with how Magic the Gathering reprints work, but to me it honestly felt like that, like this was just a reprint set. And it honestly had me kind of disappointed because I did review most, not all of them, but I did review most of the new cards in the set. And there's a couple of them that I thought were really cool, but still, Jalum Doom, it kind of took away from the fact that, oh, this is a new set, because like I'm seeing cards that I can't even play, and it just made me feel very deterred from playing Magic the Gathering, because if I want to play with all the new cards, I have to open up a lot of packs. And I did try my hand at a draft. It went miserable. I'm not gonna lie, I believe I did it live on stream, and it just wasn't, I didn't do good. I did very bad. I've been getting a lot of deck listing comments on my Discord, and he's been sharing with me deck list, and I've been looking at it on my free time, and I wanted to go over it a little bit in this video. It's a very good deck because he's running a bunch of very powerful cards, and looking at those really powerful cards made me realize that even though I didn't really have that much fun with the latest set of Magic the Gathering Arena, namely Brothers War, there's a lot of really good content that's just hidden away, like in the back burner, you know, old cards that are very powerful. Because Magic does this thing, if you're unfamiliar with it, where they rotate a set, which means that 5 sets over the past year, right? Like 5 new boxes came out, 5 new packs or whatever. And they'll take the oldest one and they'll just remove it. You can't use it in competitive play anymore. It's interesting because now, like, what do you do about those cards, right? Well, they release a new pack and introduce like either like same cards with different effects or power crept version of those cards. And that's how the standard metagame works. It's because Magic has different formats, limited formats, and formats which I want to say unlimited, where you can use old cards. I've never explored with that. And this has been a very big thing that's been prevalent in my comments. People have mentioned it many times. To me and my Yu-Gi-Oh brain, I can't comprehend that. Because Yu-Gi-Oh's, you can use all the old cards if you want. But I would just like, okay, I'll just use the new sets. I'll just do what's competitive, you know? But I think we can start having fun looking at some older stuff. So, if you would care to join me, we'll be looking at some of Hellkite, who is posted in my Discord, look some of his deck list. And if you have your own deck list you would like to share with me, either in the comments, or if you feel free to join the Discord in the description, you can post it there. We can just like start journeying into really what Magic is and what Magic was. Anyways, my name is KushiKush, and let's jump into it. Also, quick note, if you're watching this far in the video, sorry about my hair. I'm getting a haircut today. My hair is extremely messy. I feel a little bit self-conscious, but you know. So I opened up the deck list right here. The website I'm on is called tappedout.net. I believe it's where you can put in the cards in your deck and you can share it with people. Very cool website. There's also some features where it shows you the card percentage you have, kind of like Magic the Gathering has a little bit. I don't know if Magic the Gathering has something very similar to this, but you can check how many instant sorceries and all that stuff. And it also shows you, which I think this is very cool, your mana curve. So around turn 3, you'll have this many playable cards. I think this is actually incredibly excellent information for anybody who wants to do deck construction. And I'm surprised Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't really have stuff like this. I mean, in Yu-Gi-Oh you can just play a card regardless of like mana count, because Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have mana. But still, like, there's just so much information you can work off that you can like truly optimize your deck, and I don't really see that in Yu-Gi-Oh. Regardless, looking at the deck, it runs a bunch of very powerful big monsters. Well, I say big, but this guy's only 4, where you just summon them and they do really cool things. Like this one allows you to play lands from your graveyard, and then this one, it's like if you deal damage, you can deal additional damage at the end phase. So it's kind of like an OTK card. What that means is that you can end your opponent in 1 turn. Very cool stuff. And then he runs a lot of low mana monsters that it's just like tap it and then it gains like mana. These are always pretty good. I looked at the deck list and there's a couple of these. I think there's like 3. And specifically in Commander deck list, you can only run 1 copy of each card, which I love. I love the idea of that. I think it's freaking cool just because it just makes a duel more exciting in my opinion. Because like when you top deck a card, it's not like you're going to top deck a duplicate. It's always going to be a unique card. I really like that. A bunch of the cards in this deck just allow you to play lands off the top of your deck, or just play an additional land, or you tap the monster for mana. The main reason for that is because you have a bunch of these very big monsters. This one's 6 mana. The next one I believe is 13 mana. Oh, that's huge. I looked at this guy on the live stream. It's a weird effect. I want to go over it a little bit. Essentially what it does is when you summon this card, you play for your opponent. I don't really know how that works. I've never seen it in action. But in my head, I imagine it's like, okay, you summon this card, you do your thing, you end your turn, now it's your opponent's turn, and you grab his hand, you look at like everything he has on his field, you can use stuff from his deck. It's so bizarre and strange to me. Because like, why, and like imagine this card in real life, like your opponent's like, yeah, can I see your deck, can I see your hand, like everything that you have, yeah, I'm gonna use it. Like that's bizarre to me. But I mean, a card like this exists and it is able to be run, especially since it gets on cheaper mana cost the more card types you have in your graveyard. The only thing with this deck that I truly didn't understand was, yeah, it has a bunch of big monsters and there are some ways where you can play cards off the top of your deck, or you just get mana really, really quickly. But I feel like a deck like this would succeed with mill cards. Now correct me if I'm wrong, because this is my experience from Yu-Gi-Oh! If your deck runs a bunch of really, really powerful monsters that you either want in the graveyard, or you want to cheese them out somehow, don't you want to like mill them, get them in your graveyard so you can use like, I don't know, like a spell or a sorcery that allows you to just bring it out for free? And this deck has a bunch of monsters that are really, really big, but I think the only card that I saw that I thought was like really, really good in here was an enhancement. And there's a bunch of really powerful monsters here. Like this Phoenix, when it dies, it summons a token. And if the token survives until your turn, you can sacrifice a token and bring the Phoenix back. And then it just, you know, it cycles. It never goes away. That's a really cool card. It's scary, honestly. This guy is literally, when you summon him, look into your library for any card. Now, in Yu-Gi-Oh!, looking into your deck and searching is like normal. In Magic though, that's a really rare effect. And this deck runs multiple cards that let you search. For example, one of these sorceries, let me find it real quick. It is like you tribute a monster, and yes, Diabolic Intent. For 2 dark, you tribute a monster, you search your library for a card and add it to your hand. Really cool effect. I mean, no wonder it costs $11. And there's another one, Dig Up, which I've actually seen this card used in Magic the Gathering Arena. Essentially, it's like 5 mana, and you can search your library for a card and add it to your hand. The card I was referring to that I thought was pretty good and has really good synergy with this deck, I believe it was Path of Discovery. This card essentially, when you summon a monster, you can look at the top card of your deck. If it's a land, you can put it in your hand, otherwise send it to the graveyard. So essentially, every time a monster is summoned, you just mill the top card of your deck if it's not a land, which works really, really well in this deck. And I kind of like this. This is a competitive list, and there's a lot of cards that I've never seen before. Exagos, God of Revels. Just a lot of very, very powerful cards that I can assume are good because they're expensive on the TCG player market. Now, I'm not really sure how the card market works for Magic the Gathering, you might be very, very familiar with it. I don't know how reprints works. Do reprints happen often? Do old cards retain value? So generally in Yu-Gi-Oh, when a card's expensive, it generally means it's good either in the meta or it's just a good card in general. And a lot of the cards in this deck are rather expensive. $10, $3, $55, yes. Ulmog the Ceaseless Hunger, cannot forget him. Not only that, one other thing I noticed in Magic, especially in like older Magic cards, is that there is a lot of lands, right? And lands are cool, but they have rather weak effects. What I mean by that is, like this land, take for example, 5 mana and you tap this. So essentially 6 mana, draw a card. Like 6 mana to draw a card. I think the reason that this card is good is because lands are so weak that an effect where it's, oh, I'm gonna pay 6 mana to draw a card is a good effect. In my opinion, I would never run this. I think it's garbage. But it's maybe because the land has the option to give you the ability to draw is what makes it good. Now, there's not just that. There's some other ones too. Like, I believe there's this one. Tap, pay 1, sacrifice this card, and search. Oh no, this is a deck thinning card, excuse me. And it's worth 34 bucks? Wait, that's crazy. Why would you pay that much? I'm sorry, that caught me off guard. Lands just feel like very weak. And that's one thing about Magic that I'm still trying to explore. Because so far, I only understand dual lands. It's like lands where they enter tapped. Or lands that, like, when you want to activate them, you pay life. But there's also lands that have unique effects. Example, 4 mana, you tap this, essentially 5 mana. Sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Who would ever do that? But then at the same time, this is a land. This is a land. So it's like, you're not really losing anything for playing this card, because you need to play land anyways to play the game. So there's a lot of interesting things I'm starting to understand about Magic the Gathering. And for example, in this deck list, Blood Fury runs cards that are removable. Chaos Warp. You can like remove a card for your opponent controls, but then they can like look at the top card of their deck and they can play it. I would never play this, because what if you give your opponent Ulmog and he's playing Ulmog? Like, I feel like you just lose the duel. But regardless, I think removal is very, very powerful, especially when it's instant and you can use it during your opponent's turn as a disrupt. And there's a couple of cards like these, which I've never seen before. And a new line of text, actually, which is, cannot be regenerated. This appears on a couple of the cards in this list, specifically. And, I mean, it doesn't really explain what regenerated means, but from the picture and just from, like, general game knowledge, I'm assuming it means that it's kind of like banished face down, meaning it's exiled and you can never use it ever again. Like, you can't bring it back, right? You can't special summon it anymore. So there's a lot of interesting things in Magic that I haven't figured out that are from past formats that you just don't see in modern formats. So that's what I want to try to do from now on. I want to try to look at some of the older cards. I'll probably look up some of the most popular Magic the Gathering deck list of the past, and I'd love to share it with you guys, because if you're viewing this and you're a Magic fan, I'm gonna be safe at assuming that you probably know about past metas. You probably know what was good in the past, and I know nothing about that. I'm completely blind. So, I mean, maybe I can look at what you guys show me or look at what's online and, you know, give my thoughts and share in it with you guys. Regardless, that's gonna be it for this video. I just wanted to look at this deck list. I am very grateful for Furyborn Hellkite for posting these. He posted many things. And again, if you want to post, feel free to post it in the comments or join the Discord and you can post it here. I look at both of them. Preferably, I like the Discord more just because everything here is like stays really compact and easy. And if anybody's very interested in Magic, they can find it as well. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day or night. Again, I'm sorry for not posting that much Magic content. I was kind of lost. I really was. I wasn't too sure what to post. I wanted to post good content, but I wasn't really sure because I wasn't really liking Brothers War. I'm sorry if you're a huge fan. I didn't like the artifact things. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was that cool. Maybe I'll catch you later. Peace.